Alright guys, first off as always, good day. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me move this really quick. Alright, so um, today's lesson is going to be about um, the repercussions of the Articles of Confederation and basically what the Articles of Confederation was about. Okay, so here is your warm-up picture. So look at it, analyze it. What do you notice? Okay, now there might be some familiar faces amongst the crowd. Some of them are just like staring dead at you. Um, and there's a couple that's to the side, but you might be able to recognize who some of these people are. So write it down. Who do you see? What do you see? What do you think's going on? Okay. And then the second question is based off what you see, what's happening, right? Analyze it and basically what's happening here? Why are these guys all together? What do you think? Okay. So with that, once you're finished, we're going to go to the notes right now. All right. So here's the thing. Once the colonies won their independence at the Battle of Yorktown, the government needed to have, well, I should say the country needed to have a government running. And they came up with this thing called the Articles of Confederation. Now, the colonies all ratified it, which basically meant they approved it. The thing was, the problem is when you rush something, chances are you're not going to do as good of a job. They had a good idea what they wanted and they put it on paper, but specifics, were not really, well, they kind of did a little specific, but something's too much and some things that you're like, well, they forgot some stuff. And we're going to go over that right now. So here's the thing. It gave each state a vote, because it was unicameral, which means there was only one house in Congress. Um, Congress basically only had 10 powers, and everything else belonged to the states. Okay, so for the Congress, the only powers they had were this. Here's the first five. They could make war and peace. Right, self-explanatory. They could send and receive ambassadors. People from other countries can come over and represent their country, and we could send people to other countries, and they could be representing America. Enter into treaties, so peace negotiations, things like that. They could raise and equip a navy, self-explanatory, and maintain an army by requesting troops from states. Now, this is unique because you have to remember, nowadays, when you sign up for the army, you sign up for the United States Army. You don't sign up for the California Army or the Colorado Army. No, you sign up for the United States Army. But back then, each state had their own army. So some states were very, very powerful because they had a bunch of people signing up. And in some states, they didn't because either one, their population was small, or two, people just didn't volunteer. So that's the thing. And the government basically would have to be like, okay, we need 10 soldiers from Rhode Island, 100 from Pennsylvania, 100 from North Carolina. That's as much as they can do, you know. They could just request. It wasn't a you have to. So North Carolina could be like, 100 soldiers, we can only spare 60, because we got our own problems, so that's the thing. Okay. All right. So the other five are this. They could appoint senior military officers. Yes, they needed someone in charge of the troops from other states. Okay. They could fix the standards and weights measures. Now, what's this means basically is they decide whether we should be yards, feet, inches, or the metric system. And our government chose the metric system, or sorry, the feet and inches. We kind of pushed aside the metric system, which the whole world uses, and that's why when you see stuff from international places, uh, you see like millimeters and kilometers and things like that, and we don't know what it is because we're not taught that. Okay. Another power they had was to regulate Indian affairs. So if there was an issue between the Indians and the white settlers, the Indians could take up their issue with Congress. Now, again, um, the Indians were more likely not going to get their way because who is the Congress going to decide with? Indians or the white settlers? And chances are they're going to side with their own people as opposed to these Indians who they saw as not them. They're not part of our country, so they're foreign, they're indigenous, they're not us. I really want to boil it down. Number 9 was establish a post office. Now, this was cool, okay? Um, because Ben Franklin actually made a system where mail could be traveled uh, a long distance in a short amount of time, which is still used today in a sense. Okay. The other last one was decide certain disputes between states. So if two states were arguing about something, whatever it may be, land dispute, something about resources, then they would come to Congress and Congress could decide. Now, those were the powers. Now we're going to get into um, the bad stuff about the Articles of Confederation. The number one thing that was horrible about the Articles of Confederation was that the government could not collect taxes. Now I'm talking the federal government. So when people they try to collect taxes, people are like, "Oh, sorry, can't pay it." The government couldn't be like, "Well, okay, fine, we're gonna take this or this or this, or you have to sell this, you know, to pay those taxes." They couldn't do that, So they would just, "Oh, well, okay, well, when you can, or we're gonna come back, we're gonna come back and we're gonna come back with a letter." So it was just kind of okay, fine, come back with a letter. I don't care. They didn't have any teeth to really um, tax people. And if the government can't pay taxes or can't collect taxes, they can't pay for things. You know, the other thing they couldn't do was regulate trade. Because some states, their number one resource was the same as other states. So a lot of states would, let's say, had lumber because there was a lot of trees. So the amount of lumber would be up here that they could sell. It was high. Now, if everyone starts selling lumber, the price of it doesn't go high. It doesn't say medium. It actually goes low because you can get it anywhere. Okay, that's what the thing is. So when there's too much of one resource, the price goes low because you can get it anywhere. And what's the point of buying, let's say, I don't know, an iPhone for $1,000 when there's a bunch of other iPhones, well, let's say imitation, they're basically the same thing, but it costs $400. It's the same thing, just different name, same thing. That does the exact same stuff, maybe even better. Why would you pay that $1,000 when you can get that other one for $400? So to make things even, because they're not going to sell, they would have to bring the prices down, or they would go out of business, which no company wants to do. So that's what they do. To maintain that competition, they bring down the value. But if everyone's selling all high, the price goes, or selling all the same product, the price of it goes low. So that's the thing. The other thing was some states sold just like one item, that nobody else is selling. They'll say like tobacco. So the price of tobacco would be up here because nobody is making it. Okay, and so the quantity is low, so the price will go high. And it might be too high for the average person to buy it. It's only the really rich people might buy it. Okay, and that's the thing. You just don't want to get only just a couple bucks coming in. You want to get a lot of it. So you have to find that happy medium, and that's what the government couldn't do. They couldn't find that happy medium. They couldn't tell these people, stop with the lumber. You guys need to make more tobacco. They couldn't do that. The other thing they couldn't do was force anyone to basically obey the laws. Okay, Congress can only advise and request that states comply with the law, the national law. So it's like, hey, guys, we have a rule, we have a law that says you can't do that. And states can be like, Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I guess we do, huh? And continue doing what they're doing. And they would say, "Oh, it's our right. It's a state's right. What we're doing." You know. So that became an issue. Um, and here's one of the last ones. Anytime there wanted to be an amendment, some type of law, all right, it took everybody, all the states had to ratify it, not just half or two-thirds or whatever. No, all of them. So if one state said no, that would ruin it for everybody. Okay. Now the problem with this is some states may take offense. Like say they had a law and another state says, no, I don't want that because it hurts my state. So they veto it, right? Then another state says, oh, I have a law. That same state that vetoed the other one says, oh, I have a law that could help everybody. And then that one state may feel shunned by their um, amendment not being passed. So they'll veto the other one. So just because you said no to mine, I'm going to say no to yours. Kind of childish stuff, but it's politics. All right, so here's your midpoint question. Why would the inability to tax citizens be hurtful for the country? So think about it. What does our tax money go to? What do we spend our money on? So if the government couldn't collect taxes, how would that hurt our country? Okay, so think about it, write it down. Here's your writing prompt on the bottom. Okay, so what do you think? All right. Be sure to use complete sentences, please. All right, so there were some issues that happened after the Articles of Confederation. One of them was like the Shays Rebellion, and then states started printing out their own money to try to pay off their bills. But the thing is, the value of the dollar, of the state's dollar, went down because if you print more money, the value goes down, and also the value of the dollar were connected to gold. So that's the thing. It made it like if you spent, made the state made too much money, and somebody traded in their dollars for gold, the gold would be gone, and then all would be left is paper money, and the papers are basically worthless because there's no gold behind it. So on May 25th, 1787, the Constitutional Convention began. This group decided to get together and try to fix this Articles of Confederation. Okay, now all the states except Rhode Island sent delegates. They sent people to represent them. Okay, and there was 55 of them in total. Now, this group is basically like the all stars in our government and in our country. First off, the first person everybody knew was George Washington, right? Everybody knew George Washington. Everybody loved and respected him, okay? The next biggest person that was there was Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin is world known. He is considered like a genius upon genius at that time. Um, he was not only a inventor, scientist, but he was also a diplomat. You know, uh, next person was James Madison. James Madison was, when it comes to law and stuff like that, he was awesome. He knew how to use words and things like that. The next person was John Adams. John Adams was, he was short, he was feisty, but he was so smart. He had a little temper, but man, he was smart. And he knew how to negotiate. Next person was John Hancock. He is famous for the signature on the Declaration of Independence. A huge John Hancock. You can see it if you ever look at a picture of it. Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams was one of the Sons of Liberty. One of the first people to join the revolution. And yes, I'm sure you've seen the commercials in the beer. And yes, he was a brewmaker. That's why they named the beer after him. Last one was Patrick Henry. The man who said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Um, right there at the very beginning of the revolution, some of that. So he had an important voice too. And there was other guys, but these were the top people. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Right from the beginning, there were several things that the delegates agreed on. First off, they agreed we need someone to rule this place, someone to say what's going to happen to start the meetings, adjourn the meetings, call people on their BS, make sure people are following the rules, and everybody looked at George Washington. Okay, because again, George Washington was the man. So they're like, you have to be it. Everyone listens to you. If it's somebody else, people might like, whatever, oh, what are they gonna do to me? But with you at the helm, everyone's gonna follow because it's you. You're an awesome leader. So George Washington accepts. So he is the leader. Um, the other thing that happened was at the very bottom, if you see, um, they decided, you know what, we need to get rid of the Articles of Confederation. There is nothing worth saving. This thing was a bust. It's horrible. It sucks. Let's get rid of it. Okay. Now, some of the things they agreed on also was that each state would have one vote. All right. A simple majority of those states presented a decision. So if, let's say, there's 13 states, if 6 of them said yes, 7 said no, then it says no because 7 is more than 6. Okay. Um, so that's how they decided things. Whatever the majority says, the way it is. No meeting could be held unless 7 of the states were involved. Even if it was just one person, they had a representative from their state in there. So that's the thing. So let's say 4 states got together and they're chit chatting in the corner, trying to, think of some things or trying to, how to work it so that their states became more powerful. George Washington would basically go in there and go, hey, you guys know the rules. You can't be like this. All right. Now, let's see your notes, what you guys have been sharing. You're going to tell it to the rest of the group. Okay. He made sure everyone followed the rules, that there wasn't any backroom discussions or sneaking around this, that. No, this was for the sake of our country. Everybody should be involved, or at least the majority. The other thing was that the public and the press were kept out of the conversation. No one was allowed to know what was going on, what was being said, and stuff like that. Because the thing is, you have to remember, at this time, the Articles of Confederation sucks. States are going broke. The states' money is basically worthless. People are rebelling against the country. So these guys have a short amount of time to agree and bring out this new form of government. Okay, so they know the clock's against them. All right, so here is your final question. Why would the Articles of Confederation be thrown out? Why do you think they didn't use parts of it to build on? Why did they go, hey, this part was pretty cool. This part was, was smart. Let's use that. From there we can add on to it. Be more specific. Or we should add this to it. Why do you think they just said, what? Let's toss the whole thing. Let's start a brand new um, constitution. You know. So there's a writing prompt for you on the bottom for the both parts. Um, be sure, guys, you use complete sentences when you write. Okay. You will be docked points if you don't use complete sentence. All right. So once you finish, that's the end of this lesson. Okay. Hopefully you learned something new. So there'll be another video coming soon. All right. So once you're done, be sure to take it to class, turn it into the basket near the door, and that's it. Okay. Hopefully I'll see you in class again, and you guys take care. All right. Good day. Be safe.